Are you tired of putting things off until tomorrow, only to realize that tomorrow never comes? What if I told you the life you dream of, the peace, the progress, the success, is just one decision away, and that decision is simply to start today? Welcome to the summary of Do It Today by Darius Foroux. If you've ever struggled with procrastination, if you feel like your time is slipping through your fingers, or if you're ready to finally take back control of your life, don't skip this, because what you're about to hear could quite literally change your life. Let's start with the big truth that hits hard. Most of us wait. We wait for motivation. We wait for the perfect moment. We wait for clarity. But what Darius Foroux says in the very first chapter is this: waiting is just another form of fear. Think about that. We convince ourselves we're being patient, that we're just not ready yet, that maybe we need a little more time to think, to plan, to get everything in order. But underneath all that, it's fear. Fear of failing, fear of being judged, fear that maybe we're not enough. We wait to start the business. We wait to apply for the job. We wait to have that difficult conversation. We even wait to get healthy. Here's a real-life example you might relate to. Meet Raj, a graphic designer with a big dream to start his own freelance brand. Every Sunday night, he tells himself, Monday, I'll start. He watches design tutorials, reads business books, and even writes to-do lists in a fancy journal. But Monday always comes and goes. So does Tuesday. And by the time Thursday rolls around, he's already buried in client work, too tired to even think about starting something new. Sound familiar? It's not because Raj is lazy or unmotivated. It's because he's afraid. He's afraid of not being good enough, of failing in public, of what people might think if he tries and doesn't succeed. So he waits. But while he's waiting, life doesn't wait for him. Opportunities keep passing. Time keeps ticking. And his dream? It stays just that, a dream. This is the quiet tragedy most people live with. We plan more than we act. We imagine more than we execute. We are stuck in a cycle of potential, but no progress. And Darius doesn't sugarcoat it. He delivers the truth with precision. You don't find time. You make time. The only moment you ever truly have is right now. Not next week. Not next year. Just now. So if you're listening to this and feeling that pang of recognition, that's a good thing. It means you're waking up. You're becoming aware of the ways you've been holding yourself back. But don't stop now. Because the next chapter, that's where we dig into the one thing that's quietly stealing your time, energy, and progress every single day. And it's probably something you're doing right now without even realizing it. So stay with me. What if I told you that the real reason you're stuck isn't that you're not trying hard enough? But let me ask you something. Have you ever found yourself binge-watching productivity videos on YouTube, reading your 5th self-help book in a row, or listening to another podcast on how to finally level up? But deep down, you're still not doing the thing? You're not lazy. You're not broken. But here's the truth that Darius Foroux lays down in this chapter. Most of us are stuck in learning mode, and it feels productive. But it's actually just another way of procrastinating. Darius calls it what it is: consumption addiction. We trick ourselves into believing that the more we consume, the closer we are to success. But the gap between knowing and doing, that's where most of us get lost. Let me give you an example. There's Lisa. She wants to write a book, has wanted to for years. She's got folders filled with outlines, character sketches, even writing prompts she's collected from courses. She's read all the books about writing. She follows best-selling authors on Instagram. But ask her how many actual pages she's written? None. Why? Because she's busy preparing. She's still waiting to feel ready. But as Darius says, preparation becomes procrastination when it goes on too long. Let that sink in. The brutal reality is that all this reading, watching, and planning can become a comfortable bubble. It feels like progress, but it's really avoidance. We're hiding from action. Because action, that's where the risk lives. When you act, you might fail. You might fall short. But it's also the only way anything real ever happens. Darius flips the usual advice on its head. He says you don't need more inspiration. You don't need more tips, hacks, or routines. You need more execution. And here's what makes this chapter so freeing. You don't need to wait until you finish the book or figure it all out. You can start before you feel ready. Even just 5 minutes of messy, imperfect action can do more for your progress than 5 hours of passive learning. Another example, take Chris, a full-time employee who dreams of launching a side business. Instead of building his idea, he keeps reading about how to build a brand. Weeks go by, then months. Finally, he spends just one weekend sketching out a simple product and setting up a landing page. And guess what? That tiny, imperfect step brought him more clarity and momentum than the entire year of consuming content. Why? Because clarity comes through action, not before it. So here's the challenge Darius puts in front of us. Instead of learning how to do something, just try doing it. You'll learn 10x faster. Sounds obvious, right? But it's so easy to forget. So here's the tough love. That blog post you've been meaning to write, that online course you want to create, that fitness plan you keep researching, you already know enough to start. And even if you don't, you'll figure it out faster on the move than you ever will sitting still. So I'll leave you with this question. What's one thing you could stop learning about and just start doing today? Because in the next chapter we go even deeper. Now that you know you need to act, what happens when your schedule is so packed that you don't even know where to begin? That's where Darius shares a time management strategy that will completely shift how you spend your day and finally give you the time to do what matters. You don't need more time. You need to decide. Let's start with a question that hits home. How often do you catch yourself saying, I just don't have time? Be honest. You probably said it this week, maybe even today. And you're not alone. We all feel overwhelmed, pulled in 10 different directions. Emails, texts, work, social obligations, doom scrolling, it never stops. But in this chapter, Darius Foroux throws down a challenge. He says the issue isn't your time, it's your decisions. Here's what he means. We all get the same 24 hours, but some people write books, some start businesses, some transform their health, and others, they just watch. It's not because those successful people have fewer responsibilities or more hours in the day. It's because they've decided clearly and powerfully what matters to them, and they act on it daily. Let me give you an example. Take Emily. She's a mom of two, works full-time, and still finds time to run a blog and sell handmade products online. How? Simple. She made a decision. This matters to me more than Netflix, more than scrolling, more than being available to everyone all the time. She doesn't have more time. She just protects the time she has like it's sacred. This chapter is all about deciding what matters and then aligning your life around that. Now, Darius isn't unrealistic. He knows life gets chaotic. Things come up. But here's what he says. If you don't decide how you spend your time, someone else will. Let that sit for a second. Every time you say yes to something unimportant, you're saying no to what could change your life. You think answering every email right away makes you productive? Nope. It makes you reactive. And living reactively is the enemy of doing meaningful work. Instead, Darius suggests something radical but powerful. Block time for what matters. Every single day, even if it's just 30 minutes. Write that book. Work on your idea. Study that subject. Build your dream. Because if you're waiting for a 3-hour window to magically open up, it won't. Life doesn't give you time. You have to make it. And if you're thinking, but my life is crazy, I really don't have time, ask yourself this. How much time did you spend on your phone yesterday? How many hours went into things that didn't move your life forward at all? It's not judgment, it's awareness. When you stop wasting energy on things that don't matter, you suddenly find yourself with more time and more peace. Now here's where this chapter really lands. Darius talks about the power of non-negotiables. What's a non-negotiable? It's a commitment you make to yourself and keep no matter what. For example, I write for 20 minutes every morning. I don't check my phone before 9 a.m. I work out 3 times a week, no matter what. These little promises, they build momentum. They build trust. Because every time you follow through, you're telling yourself, I can count on me. And that changes everything. So here's what I want you to ask yourself right now. What's one non-negotiable you can start this week? Even if it's small, write it down. Say it out loud. Set a reminder. Because chapter 4, that's where we talk about the enemy of consistency, something that sneaks up on all of us, the myth of motivation. We're about to completely shift the way you think about getting started, staying committed, and building real discipline, even when you don't feel like it. So stay with me. If you think you need motivation to move forward, don't skip the next chapter. This is where the game changes. Stop chasing motivation, build discipline instead. Let me ask you something honest. How many times have you waited to feel ready before doing something important? You wanted to start a project, go to the gym, write that first page, or launch that side hustle. But you didn't feel like it. So you told yourself, I'll do it when I'm motivated. Sound familiar? Now here's the truth that Darius Foroux lays bare in this chapter, and it might just flip everything you thought you knew. Motivation is unreliable. If you wait for it, you'll wait forever. Let that hit. This chapter is powerful because it debunks one of the biggest lies we tell ourselves. That success begins when you feel inspired. Nope. Success begins when you show up regardless of how you feel. Let's take a real-world example. Jake is a content creator who wants to grow his YouTube channel. He has the camera, the ideas, the knowledge, but he only films when he's in the mood. So weeks go by without a single upload. Then one day he gets motivated, uploads 3 videos and burns out again. The cycle repeats. Compare that to Priya, who isn't always motivated, but she's committed. Every Saturday morning, without fail, she records 1 video. Rain or shine, motivation or not. She's built a routine, a rhythm, a discipline. Guess who grows faster? Exactly. This is where Darius makes his point crystal clear. Discipline is doing what you said you'd do, long after the mood you said it in has left. That quote hits deep, doesn't it? Because let's face it, the excitement of starting something new wears off fast. And what's left? Just you, your habits, and your willingness to keep going when it's not exciting anymore. And that's where most people quit. But if you can master this, the art of showing up even when you don't feel like it, you unlock a kind of freedom most people never taste. It's the freedom of momentum, the quiet confidence of knowing, I don't need to feel ready, I just need to begin. Darius even shares something personal here. He writes every single day, no matter what. Some days it flows, some days it's a struggle, but he shows up. And that's why he succeeds. It's not magic, it's muscle. Just like going to the gym, the more you practice discipline, the stronger it gets. And here's a key tip he offers. Lower the barrier, make it easier to start. If writing for 60 minutes feels overwhelming, write for 10. If a full workout feels like too much, do 5 push-ups. If building your website feels huge, set up one section. The point is, start small, but start. And over time, you'll build a habit of action that doesn't rely on mood or energy. It just runs, like a system, like brushing your teeth. Here's a quick challenge you can take from this chapter. Pick one task you want to build into your life and commit to doing it for just 2 minutes a day for the next 7 days. That's it. 2 minutes. No excuses. Why 2 minutes? Because the hardest part is starting. And once you start, you often keep going. So ask yourself, what's one thing you could do today that your future self will thank you for tomorrow? You don't need hype. You don't need perfect energy. You don't need the stars to align. You just need to act now. Because in chapter 5, Darius goes even deeper. It's not just about habits or discipline, it's about how we measure success. And chances are, the way you've been measuring progress is actually killing your motivation. You might be making more progress than you think, but your brain just doesn't see it. You're making progress, even if you can't see it yet. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like you're working hard, putting in the effort, but nothing's changing? You're waking up early, eating better, writing every day, working on your goals, but still, no visible results. And slowly, a voice creeps in. What's the point? This chapter is here to silence that voice. Because what Darius Foroux makes so clear is this. Progress isn't always visible, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. Let me explain. Think of an ice cube sitting on a table in a cold room. The temperature is 25 degrees Fahrenheit. You slowly start warming the room, 26 degrees, 27 degrees, 28 degrees. Still, nothing happens. The ice cube just sits there. But then at 32 degrees Fahrenheit, it suddenly melts. Was all that effort wasted from 25 degrees to 31 degrees? Of course not. It was building up to a breakthrough. That's how progress works. It's often invisible before it's undeniable. We give up too soon because we don't see results immediately. But that's not failure. It's just the quiet phase of growth. Think about going to the gym. You don't lift weights for a week and see ABS. Think about planting a seed. You don't water it twice and expect a tree. But when it comes to our own goals, we want instant proof. And when we don't get it, we stop. Here's an example Darius shares. A writer starts publishing blog posts every week. For months, no one reads them. Traffic is slow. No feedback. But he keeps going one post every week, no matter what. Then one day, one article takes off. It goes viral. Opportunities come. Readers flood in. But here's the thing. It wasn't that one article that made the difference. It was the compound effect of every article before it. Success is not one big leap. It's a buildup of small steps taken consistently. And that's what this chapter is about. It teaches you how to keep going, especially when it feels like nothing is happening. Darius encourages you to track progress internally, not externally. Instead of looking for likes, followers, or praise, ask yourself, did I show up today? Did I stick to my values? Did I get just 1% better? If yes, that's progress. Let me give you one more example. Maya started learning Spanish. For 6 months, she felt lost. She could barely form a sentence. But she stayed consistent 15 minutes a day. No skipping, no excuses. And then one day, she found herself watching a Spanish movie and understanding entire phrases. She smiled. Because in that moment, she realized it was working even when it didn't feel like it. And that's what Darius wants you to know. You don't need to see the outcome today. You just need to trust the process. So here's your challenge. Think about something you've been working on, a habit, a skill, a personal goal. If you're feeling discouraged, ask yourself, are you focusing too much on outcomes and not enough on effort? Because if you're putting in the work and staying consistent, you are making progress. Even if no one sees it, even if it doesn't feel fast, even if it's quiet, you are moving forward. So don't stop now. Because in chapter 6, Darius takes us deeper into something we all struggle with, the fear of other people's opinions. We'll talk about how to finally stop letting other people's judgments hold you back, and how to start living a life on your own terms. If you've ever held back because of fear or doubt, don't miss what comes next. This could be the chapter that sets you free. Stop living for others. Start living for you. Let me start by asking you this. How many decisions have you made, not based on what you wanted, but on what someone else might think? Think about it. You didn't post that idea because you were scared people might judge it. You stayed in a job you hate because you didn't want your parents or friends to question you. You avoided starting your side hustle because, what if it fails and people see it? Sound familiar? Darius Foroux calls this out for what it is. A trap. A quiet, invisible prison that holds you back from the life you actually want. And he doesn't sugarcoat it. He says very directly, the fear of other people's opinions is one of the most destructive forms of fear. Let that land for a second. Because this fear doesn't just delay you, it distorts your entire life. You start shaping your choices, not around your dreams or values, but around other people's reactions. You start playing small, just to stay safe. And here's the harsh truth. The people you're worried about, they're not thinking about you that much. They're too busy worrying about what you think of them. We're all caught in this imaginary web, assuming others are watching, judging, caring. But they're not. They're scrolling. They're distracted. They're dealing with their own doubts. So who are you really living for? Let me share a story. Jason wanted to quit his 9-to-5 job and start his own marketing business. He had skills, savings, and a plan. But he didn't move. Why? Because his family thought entrepreneurship was risky. His friends joked, "Oh, so you're becoming a YouTuber now?" And even strangers on LinkedIn made him feel like he wasn't serious enough. So he stayed in that job for years, unhappy, unfulfilled, all because of fear, not of failure, but of judgment. Then one day he realized, the only one living with the consequences of my choices is me, not them. That flipped everything. Jason finally quit, started small, built slowly. Today he works from home, controls his time, and feels free. And that's what Darius wants for all of us. Freedom from approval, freedom from fake expectations, freedom to be you. Now this doesn't mean you become arrogant or stop listening to good advice, but it does mean you stop giving unearned power to people who don't live your life. Here's a key practice Darius shares. Ask yourself, am I doing this for me or for someone else's reaction? That one question can change your direction instantly. Because here's what's real. The world doesn't need a copy of someone else. It needs you, your voice, your ideas, your weird, unique perspective. And the more you silence yourself for the sake of comfort or conformity, the more you betray your own potential. So let me ask you this. What's one thing you've been holding back from just because of what others might think? Say it out loud. Write it down. And decide today to take one small step toward it. Because when you stop living for other people's validation, something incredible happens. You start trusting yourself. You start feeling lighter. And for the first time in a long time, you feel free. And don't stop here, because in Chapter 7, we go even further into unlocking your true potential. It's about breaking the myth that you need to do everything at once, and how focusing on less can help you achieve more than you ever imagined. If you've ever felt overwhelmed, scattered, or pulled in too many directions, the next chapter is your reset button. Don't miss it. Do less, but do it better. Let's start with a simple but powerful question. Are you doing too much, but accomplishing too little? It's a common trap. You wake up with a long to-do list. You try to juggle 5 goals at once. You start one project, jump to another, scroll through your phone, answer emails, and by the end of the day, you're exhausted. But you haven't really finished anything. Sound familiar? Darius Foroux calls this out as one of the biggest lies in modern productivity. Being busy is not the same as being productive. Let that sink in. In this chapter, he introduces a mindset that's simple, powerful, and when applied, life-changing. Do fewer things. Do them better. Because here's the truth. We don't need more goals. We need more focus. Trying to chase 5 dreams at once usually leads to achieving none. Think of it like this. Imagine holding a magnifying glass under the sun. If you keep moving it around, the light scatters. Nothing burns. But if you hold it still, over one spot you create fire. That's what focus does. It creates results. Let's take a real-world example. Tanya wanted to start a YouTube channel, grow her Instagram, write a book, run a podcast, and launch an online course all at once. Guess what happened? She got overwhelmed. Every project felt incomplete. Her energy was spread too thin. Then she read Do It Today and made one powerful decision. I'm going to focus on one thing for 90 days. She picked her YouTube channel. One video every week. That's it. No pressure to grow her email list. No rushing into other platforms. Just focus. And 90 days later, her channel grew faster than it had in a year. Why? because she gave it her full attention. And attention, when focused, becomes power. Darius puts it beautifully: if you want to go deep, you can't go wide. So here's the shift. Stop trying to be everywhere. Start showing up fully somewhere. This chapter also brings up something many of us avoid: saying no. When you start focusing on one thing, you'll have to say no to other things. And yes, that's uncomfortable. But think about this. Every yes to something unimportant is a no to your real priorities. So ask yourself, what's one goal you can fully commit to for the next 30 or 90 days? Not 5, not 3, just one. Write it down. Make it real. And then Darius gives us this golden rule. One finished project is worth more than 10 half-done ideas. Because guess what? You can always move on to the next goal once you've built momentum in the first. But trying to do everything at once, that just leads to burnout and broken dreams. So here's your challenge today. Think about everything on your plate. Now ask, what can I eliminate, automate, or postpone so I can focus on what matters most? Don't just be busy. Be effective. Be deliberate. Be focused. Because in chapter 8, Darius talks about something even deeper, the myth of perfection. He reveals how chasing perfect is actually keeping you stuck, and why done is always better than flawless. If you're the kind of person who overthinks, second guesses, or never feels ready, chapter 8 will speak right to your heart. Don't miss what's coming. Done is better than perfect. How many dreams have you postponed just because you thought you weren't ready yet? That blog you wanted to start, the book you planned to write, the podcast you were excited about, the side hustle you daydreamed during your 90:05. You said to yourself, I'll launch it once it's perfect. I'll start once I know enough. I'll share it once I feel confident. But here's the truth Darius Foroux gives us, plainly, honestly, and without fluff. Perfection is a myth, and chasing it will kill your momentum. That hits hard. Because for a lot of us, perfectionism doesn't look like laziness. It looks like preparation. Like we're working on something, but in reality, we're stuck in a loop of never feeling ready. Darius explains that perfection is just fear in disguise. It's fear of being judged, fear of failing, fear of starting. And what does that fear do? It convinces you to polish, tweak, overthink, and wait until someday, which never really comes. Let me give you an example. Lena was a designer, talented, creative, passionate. She had been wanting to launch her portfolio online for over 2 years. Every few weeks, she'd redesign her site, change the fonts, rewrite her bio, but she never published it. When a friend finally asked her, "What are you waiting for?" she admitted, "I just don't think it's good enough yet." That's when she realized if she kept waiting for it to be perfect, no one would ever see her work. So she published it. Was it flawless? No, but it was real. It was done. And soon after, she got her first freelance client. Done opened the door that perfection was keeping locked. Darius says it clearly: you learn more by finishing something than by endlessly improving an unfinished idea. That means, publish the blog post even if it's not a masterpiece. Upload the video even if the lighting isn't ideal. Start the business even if your website is still basic. Because progress loves action, not perfection. Here's a mindset shift Darius recommends. Instead of asking, "Is this perfect?" ask, "Is this useful? Or is this complete enough to move forward?" Because remember, everything you start can be improved later. But you can't improve something that doesn't exist. You can edit a rough draft. You can optimize a bad video. You can fix a product after feedback. But you can't fix what you haven't built. Now pause for a moment and ask yourself, what are you putting off because you're waiting for it to be perfect? Really think about it. Say it out loud. Now what's one small thing you can do today to move that idea forward, even if it's messy? Because in the end, it's not about launching a perfect project. It's about becoming a person who follows through. The world doesn't reward perfect ideas. It rewards finished ones. And let me leave you with this final reminder from this chapter. You don't need to be perfect to start. You need to start to get better. So just start. And if you've made it this far, you're not just listening to this. You're doing the work. You're taking this in. You're becoming the version of yourself who finishes. So don't stop now. Because in chapter 9, Darius takes us into one of the most practical and powerful shifts of the whole book. How to create a system so your motivation doesn't have to carry all the weight. It's not about waking up every day hyped. It's about building something that works even when you don't feel like it. If you've ever struggled to stay consistent or wondered why your willpower keeps running out, the next chapter has the answer. Stick with me. This is where consistency becomes effortless. Motivation won't save you, but systems will. If you've made it this far, you're different. You're not just someone who listens. You're someone who's ready to act. Because you've felt it, haven't you? That uncomfortable truth, that waiting, gets us nowhere. That time isn't on pause just because we are. And in the second half of Do It Today, Darius Foroux gives us the hard-earned tools to stop wasting time and finally live on our terms. So let's wrap this up powerfully. Let's be honest. Some days you're just not gonna feel it. No spark, no drive, no grind mode. And that's okay as long as you have a system. Darius says, don't rely on motivation. Build habits that carry you when you're tired, bored, or distracted. Like brushing your teeth. You don't need motivation. It's just what you do. What if writing, or working out, or learning became that automatic? That's the magic of systems. Because the truth is, disciplined structure sets you free. Eliminate first. Always. Here's a game changer. Productivity isn't about doing more. It's about doing less better. We think we need to stack more tasks, more apps, more hacks. But Darius flips that. Start by cutting the junk. Remove low-value tasks. Unsubscribe from noise. Let go of goals that don't matter to you anymore. Less clutter equals more focus. More focus equals real progress. Ask yourself, what am I doing that's not moving me forward? Then cut it. You don't find time, you make it. How many times have you said, I wish I had more time? Here's the truth. You have time, but you're giving it away. Darius says, time is made through intention. Schedule what matters. Guard your mornings. Say no, unapologetically to time wasters. Because if you don't run your day will run you. And time, it's not a renewable resource. Small wins create big change. You want to transform your life. Forget massive leaps. Start with tiny, consistent wins. Write one paragraph. Read 5 pages. Put your shoes on and walk for 5 minutes. Small wins build momentum. Momentum builds identity. And identity creates lasting change. You don't need a miracle. You just need to show up today. Your future self is created. Now, what kind of person do you want to become? More confident? More focused? More fulfilled? Here's something powerful. Your future self isn't someone you find. It's someone you build starting now. Darius says every action you take is a vote for the person you want to be. And when you show up today not perfectly, but intentionally, you're already becoming them. So who are you voting for with your choices today? Outcomes are nice, but inputs are everything. Darius reminds us that goals are good, but they're not the game. The process is, you can't always control results, but you can always control your actions, the effort, the routine, the showing up. Don't stress about the scale. Track your consistency. Don't obsess over followers. Focus on creating. You win by committing to the input. The outcome will follow. Kill distractions before they kill your dreams. Let's call it what it is. Distractions aren't just annoying. They're toxic. Every time you check your phone, every scroll, every tab, it pulls you out of flow. And over time, that's how you lose momentum. And worse, your dreams. Darius says, protect your attention like your life depends on it. Because it kinda does. Put your phone in another room. Delete the app. Say no to digital clutter. Your focus is your power. Guard it. You're the CEO of your life. This chapter feels like a wake-up slap in the best way. You are not an employee of your life. You're the CEO. That means every meeting you say yes to, every late-night Netflix binge, every I'll do it tomorrow. It's your call. You have to manage your energy like a top performer. Prioritize recovery. Protect your calendar. Act like your time is the most valuable currency you have. Because it is. No one else is going to run your life better than you. So take the wheel. The only day that matters is today. And finally, it all comes back here. Today. Not tomorrow. Not next year. Now. This chapter is the heartbeat of the book. Darius says, stop using tomorrow as a hiding place. You want to write the book? Start the business, get in shape, fix your finances. You don't need another plan. You need to begin today. Even if it's just 5 minutes. Even if it's messy. Just start. Because when you act today, you stop being a dreamer. You become a doer. If this resonated with you, even just one line, don't let it fade away. Take action. And if you want the full power of this book, don't just rely on summaries. Go straight to the source. Buy Do It Today by Darius Foroux. Link is in the description. Support the author. Support your growth. And hey, if this video helped you, like it, subscribe. Comment below what's the one thing you're doing today. Remember, listening is step 1. Action is what changes your life. So here's your moment. Don't wait. Don't overthink. Do it today.